Well, Drake May's never played with a receiver like A.J. Brown, and so I think that ends up being the key. Brown is unique in that, the size, physicality, and speed, catch radius, those types of things can make it easy for a quarterback. You get, isolated coverage. Look, that's a green light right there. And what happens is it can often kind of take the read out of a play because you know where you're going with the football, and then you don't have to be perfect because the guy doesn't have to create a ton of separation in order to complete a pass to him. So I think that almost like the dictating of coverage that big physical elite receivers can do, I think Brown does that, and I think that makes life significantly easier for any quarterback, especially one as talented as Drake May.
Fans are loading up.
Yeah.
Is it fair for them to be considered the favorite ahead of the defending Super Bowl champs?
It is absolutely fair because there's another name that wasn't on that list, and it was Aaron Donald, which is also an incredible difference maker, and that's putting it lightly. Sam Darnold wasn't on the ESPN's top 10 quarterback list, which is a travesty because I am a Sam Darnold truther, and the way he's played over the last 2 years, I think has been understated how well he's played the quarterback position. That being said, their margin of winning that Super Bowl and beating the Rams down those important stretches was paper thin. And I would argue if they added just one of those names, it would flop the Rams to being the better team in that scenario. They added 4 names. They added 2 top-level corners. They added Myles Garrett, the best pass rusher of this generation, and potentially Aaron Donald, even if he is at 70%, is one of the best defensive tackles in the National Football League. So I don't think it's overstated that the Rams are the favorite because what we could possibly see there is unprecedented.
Absolutely. I think it is. And you go back to what Sark said yesterday. He said, look, we had to let guys go to clear cap space. I don't think we've ever heard a college coach frame it in that manner. We know it's happening, but in order to bring in Cam Coleman, in order to bring in Hollywood Smothers in the running back room, and Raleek Brown as well, 2 all-conference players, they had to let guys like Parker Livingston go and DeAndre Moore. They had to clear room for weapons. It's the most talented roster that Arch has had around him, and Texas is definitely a national championship or bust roster.
What do you think, Tim? Do you agree with Jordan's assessment of Texas's roster?
Yeah, I hadn't heard that sound. I'm glad Jordan brought it up. That's wild. I mean, it's absolutely wild to think. And look, here's the deal. Yeah, if you are Texas that has money to spend and you have Arch Manning as your quarterback, that should be the expectations. College football has changed. Texas should have always been in the conversation anyway because of where they're located, the type of high school athletes that they would attract. And now on top of it, you just go buy the best college players around the country like Cam Coleman. And so, the expectations 100% in this environment with a quarterback that many people believe will be the top pick.
Does this change anything about your outlook for the Giants?
It does not. I think there's going to be a process for Coach Harbaugh and this very young offensive core that has so much potential to really mesh and gel. In Talladega Nights, I think when Will Ferrell's mom comes back and she has to wrangle the kids. It's like there's a whole process of basically snapping them back into shape. That's what this process is going to be like for Harbaugh with these young players. Now, Neighbors being out there is huge, especially for Dart, because you can't be the best quarterback you can be without a weapon like Neighbors, who is a top 10 talented receiver in the National Football League. But he'll have to continue to get healthy, and there will be a process to buying into what it means to be a professional, because young players in the NFL, regardless if it's the Giants or somewhere else, they just don't know.
Sustainable, I guess I would just say, what do you mean by that? For how long a period of time? Can he build a contender there? Yes, he can, and it's why you leave, and it's why Brian Kelly would leave Notre Dame to go to LSU. Similarly to Texas, the players that you can attract there because of where you're located, the history of the program, all those things, the money that's there to spend. When you can buy as good of players or better than a lot of the teams that you are playing against, then you 100% can be a contender. You just better get it right in terms of the talent evaluation.
And Tim, look at the Seahawks. Do you expect them to still be the biggest obstacle the Rams face?
Probably so. Look, when you look at Seattle, they are just so athletic and fast and long on the defensive side of the ball. John Schneider's done an amazing job with the talent there. And then they're going to be coached really well on that side of the ball. I do think some of the disrespect in terms of, how Seattle is viewed is, probably some of the I guess, disbelief in Sam Darnold, which I think is really, unfair to Darnold because he's been good multiple places, playing for multiple coordinators and play callers and that type of thing. So I think that, some of that is Clint Kubiak leaving and, what will they look like on offense? I think they'll be very similar. And then I think a lot of it depends on Jadarian Price. If he can play as well as they probably think he can play, because I believe he'll be their week 1 starter. Mm-hmm. Seattle's going to be a really good football team. And it'll be a battle between, the Rams and Seahawks.
This is the best division in football, and Micah Parsons is the best player in the best division in football. When he comes back, he will change the entire gravity of the division. I don't think, ironically, the Bears have enough pass rush to compete in this division from the NFC standpoint. Give me the Packers in this division.
What do you think of the Packers, Hawk?
I think they could survive without Micah Parsons. I think they had a plan for it. I mean, nobody wants to not have your everything pass rusher.
Sure.
But if they can split at least the 4 games plus that he'll miss, they'll be able to stay in it. But to your point, I mean, this is a very competitive division, and I'm not kidding when I say the Lions have as much talent as any team in that division. I would say the same thing about the Bears and as well as the Packers. And if you even look at the Vikings
with
if Kyler Murray comes in there for a team that just had won 15 games themselves and can match Sam Darnold or close to, then they're a contender. So it remains to be seen.
Well, when I watch Caitlin Clark play, she's self-described as so passionate and competitive about the game. And I was the same way, and I got teed up a lot. I'm talking about one time I fouled out in the first half of a game. And as much as you want to use that to your advantage to fire yourself up and fire your teammates up, I mean, after the 8th game, once you get a technical, once you get that, you're out of the game for the next play and the next game. We see how well the Fever are playing right now. Over 100 points the last 3 games. Things are flowing. She's getting into her assist bag, the scoring bag. Kelsey Mitchell is playing phenomenal basketball right now. So you want to do everything you can. If I'm Caitlin Clark, if I'm her teammates, the coaching staff, I mean, the Fever base and the Fever fans want to see her in the game. So use that fuel and use it somewhere else on defense or hit a huge 3.
She's averaging almost 30 points a game during that 3-game win streak that Indiana is on. When you look at her game, take the technicals and everything else out of it, how is she playing right now? How does she look to you right now?
This is the Caitlin Clark that we love to watch, right? I mean, what I find interesting is they've won, I think 7 or 8 of their last 9 games. And you look at what Caitlin Clark has done, her minutes are actually the high 20s, 25, 28, 29 minutes a game. So she's not having to exert herself over 30 minutes. We know she's dealt with nagging back issues, but now she looks comfortable in her body. She looks comfortable in her rhythm, her shot, and she's dishing out the ball. And I think that, to me, is one of the most dangerous aspects of her game.
All right, well, All-Star Weekend beginning tonight. What is the thing you're most looking forward to watching in this weekend's festivities?
Well, we're going to taste of some of the style that the players are bringing. I mean, the orange carpet is just unique. The stud buds have been doing their thing. They've been streaming out all the best parts of the weekend so far. But tonight we have the 3-point shooting contest, and I can't wait to see AZ Fudd, Marina Mabry line it up. I mean, Chef's always got something special for us here, especially in the city of Chicago.
Here's what people need to know about the Aaron Donald situation right now. It doesn't sound like a decision is going to come certainly before training camp opens for the Rams, maybe not even anytime soon. And when I say anytime soon, it may be a couple of weeks. I see Mike T smiling. We'll see. But I'm told that he is working his way back into football shape, that he essentially is not going to rush us. He's not going to commit to coming back until he's convinced he can do it, until he's convinced he can be Aaron Donald, until he answers the questions in his mind. Why are you laughing?
I know why. Because Damian Woody ran the same play on me a dozen times. That's why. He has no interest in going to training camp. You don't think this deal is done? We'll announce it on Labor Day. Look, Aaron Donald doesn't need to go to training camp. They don't want him at training camp. Get the young guy some reps.
Yeah, there's a lot. And I'm not sure I'm in a position to make that decision or judgment. But I think there's a lot of qualified people out there that are looking at this. But I do think we need to take the player into consideration, not just the financial circumstances of increasing the playoffs. I don't think other than Notre Dame last year, there was any team that didn't get in the playoff that would have a chance to win the championship. So what's it about? Crowning a champion or, trying to financially, squeeze more money out of the college football playoff at the expense of, how many games a player has to play. College athletics from 1,000 feet. I don't think it would be great for, the game itself if you took any conference that is a major, one of the Power 4 conferences, out of the mix in terms of playing each other and competing for championships. And I think the only way you can do that is look at college football, college athletics as a whole, and what's best for student athletes and their ability to compete against other good teams.
Is there a way that this gets settled? Because when I have people like Heather Dinich on and some of our other excellent reporters, I get the sense that there's a lot of hope that Congress will get this thing figured out for us. I don't know how much faith most people have in that working out. Do you feel there is a way that the people running the sport can do this without government intervention, can come up with a uniform set of rules that everyone will be somewhat satisfied with?
Well, I think the key to the drill is we can come up with whatever rules we want. But litigation has got us in the position that we're in today relative to transfers, name, image, and likeness, paying players, collectives, all the things that have affected the game, in a good and bad way. So unless you make something a law, it can't be enforced. Everybody blames the NCAA, but they couldn't enforce their own rules because of litigation, and that's still happening. So to get Congress to put something together that maybe gives you some antitrust protection in terms of protecting from being sued for everything you try to enforce. I think that's the reasoning behind all this, and I do think there's a lot of good people trying to make this happen. And I think it'll be good for college athletics as a whole, not just football, but college athletics as a whole, Olympic sports, women's sports, if we can get something like that done.
I love John Summerall. I think he's incredibly genuine. I think he's funny. I think he's a really good football coach. But that's easy to say because Tulane lets you. Or Florida, let you go back and coach Tulane. If they would have drawn a hard line in the sand and said, not going to happen, we need you to be here recruiting, retaining players, you're not turning down the University of Florida to coach Tulane in a playoff game. You're just not going to do it. That's the promotion of a lifetime. So easy to say now for Summerall, but not really reality.